Malden woman accused of threatening to kill federal agents. She faced a judge in federal court in South Boston today.
All right, get ready for this one. So this is Bethany. She is being accused of wanting to take out ICE agents, but her exact wording was, "Charlie Kirk died, we love it. We're coming for you, gonna kill you."
The FBI director is calling it the first Antifa-related terrorism charge after an executive order by the president.
Now, in a separate case, also involving ICE, two people who were wanting to do harm to ICE, they are being charged as Antifa members, which means they're being charged as domestic terror members. So we have a lot to dig into. Now before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. There is so much going on right now with the news cycle. When you guys like the videos and promote it, people can actually see stuff like this is happening, and this is a group effort. I can only get this done with you guys.
Thank you.
37-year-old Bethany Terrill, the woman in the black hoodie and forehead tattoo, walked out of federal court Thursday accused of threatening to kill federal agents.
We don't want to talk about anything. We have no comment.
She and her attorney had nothing to say to reporters after a judge allowed her to walk out under a number of conditions.
Okay, so if you are subscribed to my channel, we literally see this every single day on my channel, and apparently Bethany did the same thing. According to the report, Bethany was filming herself trying to interfere and get in the way of ICE. ICE was in the middle of an arrest, and according to the police report, she was saying, ICE is here, you guys are monsters. She was trying to get the name of the detainee. Again, we see this all the time.
A case that the government says had nothing to do with her. Court filings describe how she then allegedly interjected between the agents and began screaming, ICE is here, and you guys are monsters. Agents reportedly told her several times to back up, but they say she became belligerent and aggressive, calling agents Nazis before yelling, we're coming for you, going to kill you.
Now hold on, this is why I'm here to give you guys the full quote. That news report left out this part. Charlie Kirk died and we love it. That news report only said, we're coming for you. But in context, just so you know, that person compared the death of Charlie Kirk into how ICE and the FBI were coming for you. It's going to be your death as well. Okay, so you guys know I love to dig deep in these stories and figure out, was Bethany a part of some sort of group? She used the word we're coming for you, that implies more than one. All I could find about Bethany is that she does have a GoFundMe, so she is actively raising funds to try and fight back against the US government within this case. And if you guys haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can give you guys more updates on stories like this and many more just like it. We uncover stuff like this all the time.
An FBI agent then tried to detain her, according to the court affidavit, saying she tried to escape. Fast forward 2.5 weeks, and now an emotional Terrill vowing to follow the judge's conditions for release, which included seeking mental help, avoid contact with law enforcement and any potential witnesses, stay away from alcohol and drugs, and not make any more threats.
So here's where things get interesting. So Bethany was released, and you heard the conditions. You have to go seek mental health, stuff like that. However, the US government also wanted Bethany locked up in order to protect Bethany. Bethany on her own GoFundMe says that she feels like she's being stalked. Everyone knows about this story. Her business is under threat. So I'm just trying to point out, even the US government was looking out for Bethany to protect her and her interest, even though she's the one being accused of wanting to eliminate ICE agents and that FBI agent.
Now, the government here is concerned that her actions could also lead to others behaving the same way when encountering agents. Now, the Trump administration has noted that assaults on agents have increased 1,000% this year. Now, if convicted, Terrill here could face up to 10 years in prison plus a fine.
Now, I do want to point this out. The charge of threatening a United States official provides a sentence of up to 10 years in prison. How many people have we seen on this channel threaten ICE agents? So one thing I always point out on my channel, you really have to cross the line, or you have to take things very far in order for you to be arrested by ICE or the federal government in the middle of their operations. In fact, later today, I am filming 2 videos of people interfering interfering with ICE. They could face this prison time, but we hardly see it. Now, I do think we're going to see more cases just like this where people will be arrested and be charged, but this is only the beginning if this does go through. So again, threatening a federal official, that's 10 years in prison.
Well, the federal government has charged 2 suspects in the 4th of July shooting at an ICE facility in Alvarado.
The FBI director is calling it the first Antifa-related terrorism charge after an executive order by the president. Fox 4's Stephen Dial.
Okay, just to clear up some confusion, there were actually 10 people involved with this plot to eliminate ICE agents and attack their building. However, out of the 10, only 2 were charged with the affiliation of Antifa. This person right here and this person down here. Now, I do want to point out, you could technically charge all of these people for wanting to terrorize the US government, which is what they wanted to do, but only 2 are being held with these charges in affiliation with Antifa, now a domestic terror organization.
Well, let's talk about for a moment the arrest made at Prairieland. Okay, this is the ICE facility at Prairieland, Texas, which I guess is outside of Dallas. Allegedly, 2 Antifa people have been arrested, maybe more. Can you tell us a little more about that?
This is breaking news, Larry. Just hours ago, a grand jury indicted 2 members of an Antifa-affiliated cell that launched an attack on a detention facility attacking law enforcement and police officers. 20 individuals have been charged so far, but the key here is for the first time, under the president's authorities, designated Antifa as a domestic terror organization. We have charged these 2 individuals with material support to terrorism for their involvement in Antifa. This was a coordinated, planned attack by dozens of individuals to murder police officers. And Larry, a police officer was actually shot in the neck. These guys came and staged a scene at a detention center using fireworks, then brought in long guns and rifles. They were kitted out in bulletproof vests and masks and opened fire at law enforcement.
Now, here's the thing. We don't have the evidence that Kash Patel has. And again, you saw there were 10 people. He's saying 20 people were now involved. We don't know why only the 2 were charged with these Antifa charges, but many more could also be charged with this.
This is what President Trump is prioritizing. We have to protect the men and women of law enforcement. And yes, Antifa exists. It's a terrorist organization. These are the first charges ever brought under this new designation. And this FBI is following the money, and we're going to dismantle these networks because people pay for this stuff. We're going to find them. They are equally criminally responsible as those that pull the trigger themselves.
So let's just one more moment on that point, because you've seen in the last couple of years, I mean, Antifa's been around, but people on the left and the far left say that Antifa doesn't exist. It's a state of mind, blah, 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 blah. You're saying 2 real people, domestic terrorists, okay? They were indicted by the grand jury. I mean, if they're not real, then how come 2 people were indicted and that they were involved in attacking the ICE facility? They have to be real.
And I want to make a distinction. A lot of the protesting and clashing you see, that doesn't necessarily make somebody Antifa. That could also just be an agitator. The FBI takes it a step above and looks into that link of a donor to a group to individuals. That's what it looks like Kash Patel really seems to be more worried about. Not so much the individual cases like we follow in Portland where people are clashing with protesters. I don't think Kash Patel is looking at that. I think the FBI is going way beyond that.
It's not a state of mind.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to read the first sentence of the indictment. It says the North Texas Antifa cell. That's literally the opening salvo in the indictment. And where do these people collaborate and come from? It's not just Texas. They're out burning courthouses in Portland. They're out committing destructive activities in Los Angeles. And the FBI has arrested dozens of these individuals. And thanks to our new investigative programs under President Trump, designating these guys as domestic terrorists, we have opened up multiple field investigations across the country looking at the banking and financial facilitation network. We are treating them as terrorists.
That's one thing I want to point out. Many people were super critical of designating Antifa as a terror organization, but legally speaking, and when it comes to the funding of organizations, when you designate a group as a terror organization, that opens up the gate for anything you need to do to investigate that entity. I'll give you a prime example. Over in Yemen, the Houthis were at one point a terror organization, then they were not. When they were not a terror organization, the Biden administration was not able to take them out one by one with like an airstrike. The second they turned back into a terror organization, this opened up the floodgates for everyone to investigate the Houthis, use the full force of the U.S. military, and go after the Houthis. But there had to be this legal stroke of the pen. That is a terror organization. That's what you're seeing with Antifa. This opened up the door for investigations to happen.
Just like we do Al-Qaeda or ICE.
See?
People pay for this destructive act of violence, and those people are going to be brought to justice now that we have the authorities we need to go after them.
Now, I found another interview where there seems to be some pushback on this idea of singling out two people as a member of a terror organization or Antifa. I will let the interview speak for itself, but you'll see what I mean.
President Trump recently designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. There's nothing out of the ordinary with the charges itself, but the Trump administration is focusing on the fact that, in their words, this crime was Antifa related.
And that's the big distinction, and this is going to be kind of a historic moment because we don't know how the courts are going to perceive this. If everyone was trying to terrorize the U.S. government, which is why he's saying these charges are not out of the norm, but two people are now affiliated or accused of being affiliated with Antifa, a domestic terror organization, how will that make a distinction with the charges? Are they going to be put on higher charges? Are they going to be punished harsher? We have no idea. We've never seen this before as far as an Antifa charge in the category of domestic terror.
FBI Director Kash Patel dubbed the charges for the 4th of July ICE attack in Alvarado as first time ever, calling it the first time the DOJ has prosecuted someone for an Antifa-related terror charge.
I think the FBI director and the Justice Department have been trying to make it seem like somehow this prosecution relates to that designation, and it doesn't.
The indictment was unsealed Thursday. The ambush-style attack happened on the 4th of July at an ICE facility in Alvarado, south of Arlington. Cameron Arnold and Zachary Evans are named in the indictment and charged with providing material to support terrorism, attempted murder of a federal and assisting officer, and discharging firearms during attempted murders.
Now, I do want to make a distinction. We don't know what evidence Kash Patel has, the FBI, DOJ. We don't know any of this. All we do know is that the current charges right now have to do with the wanting to eliminate ICE agents. But again, the distinction of Antifa, they must know something we don't know if they feel very confident to charge them with these Antifa charges. And one thing we know about this current FBI, they're getting work done. So they must know something we don't know.
I spoke to former Assistant U.S. Attorney John Helms, who told me these terrorism charges would have been the charge regardless if these people were in or not in a designated terrorist organization.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. These are terror charges. They were trying to terrorize the U.S. government, but when you put Antifa in here, it's going to be a historic moment because if these people get charged as Antifa, it creates the standard for other members of Antifa who could also get charged with stuff like this.
I want people to understand that this was not a situation where the government has searched out and found people who are members of Antifa and are prosecuting them because they're members of Antifa. These people are being prosecuted because of the ambush in the late night hours on July 4th on a federal facility that resulted in them shooting people and shooting a law enforcement officer in the neck.
An Alvarado police officer was shot in the neck during the incident. The officer survived. These charges come a few weeks after President Trump signed an executive order classifying Antifa as a terrorist organization.
If you haven't already, leave your comments down below how you feel about this. I do sense a tone of hostility that the FBI has inserted themselves into this prosecution, and now they are designating two people as a member of Antifa. Maybe they see this as over-politicized. Maybe they see this as a dangerous thing to just start calling people Antifa. That's what I'm getting out of this interview, but you guys can leave your comments down below. Okay, so this is becoming a very big deal in the United States. Again, I do want to point out Bethany is not being accused of being associated with Antifa. This is a completely different case. But one thing I will say is this. It looks like the FBI is willing to stack charges if they're involved with the charges and look into your affiliation with somebody. If Bethany was affiliated with a group and somehow that group was tied to Antifa, that's a very big if, more charges could come. So this is why it's a very big deal what we're seeing in Texas. It is historical, even according to Kash Patel, because now the FBI has the ability to see who is funding these attacks, who is willing to send money in order to cause destruction to the US government. And if there is a link to Antifa, this again opens up the floodgates for the US government to start prosecuting people left and right. One thing we have also seen on my channel, we know there are donors out there. We know people donate to GoFundMes. We know people donate to TikToks. Who is donating? Why are some of these donations up into $2,000? That seems to be a really big donor, and that's what the FBI is going after. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to please like and subscribe, help get this video out there, and also please pray for peace. That is the #1 thing I always advocate for on my channel. I try to fairly critique everything we see in these videos, try to be as fair as possible, and try to say, let's come together, let's have peace, we don't want violence. Thank you guys so much for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later.